One of the most common questions we get asked on this channel is, what comms do you guys use? Well, today we're going to be having a look at the updated version of the trusty old V6 Interphone. This is the V6 Plus from Teleheer. It just so happens that Nat and I have been using the original V6 Interphone comms for probably 6 or 7 years now, and these things have just been so good for the money. I think we paid around 140 Australian dollars for these, and they have been through hell. We used to use them on the enduro bikes. They've migrated through 3 or 4 helmets each. They've been beaten, they've gotten wet. Both of these have actually been ripped apart by vines and stuff like that, getting torn off helmets. They've been glued back together. Honestly, they just keep plugging that you can't kill the damn things. And the only real complaint I've got with these, and the only reason I'd be looking at upgrading them, is because one of the speaker wires, obviously when a branch has ripped the thing off, it must have broken one of the wires inside the plastic shield, and one of the speakers stopped working. And also because they're 6+ years old, the batteries in them are starting to not quite last a full day anymore. So when we first got these, they would last, you know, a full day of riding. Like, I'm talking 12 hours of communications, and then some the next day. These days we're probably getting around 9 to 10 hours out of them, which isn't quite enough. And that's where Teleheer came in. See, I was actually going to order some more of these. They have been that good. Like, I'm not going to tell you guys that I've tried every single different brand of Bluetooth comms. These ones and the expensive Cardo PackTalk Bold are the only two that we've tried. And let me just say, if you saw our video on the PackTalk Bold, we were not impressed with the Cardos whatsoever. Compared to these guys, I mean, they're like 6 times the price, and they weren't as good. So that was just our impression of using them for one day. You know, we just didn't. Yeah, I couldn't wait to get these things back in our helmet and get rid of those Cardos. So when Hans from WGP recently hit me up to review the new V6 Plus, which is an actual updated version of the original V6, I said, hell yeah. So they've sent me 2 sets. So one set to install in our helmets, and the other set will be given away. There'll be more details about the giveaway at the end of this video, guys, so hang around if you're interested in that. Right, so I'll quickly run through the differences between the original V6 and the V6 Plus. Apparently these ones now have a bigger battery, which is good. 850 milliamp hours compared to, I believe it was 520 in the old ones. Apparently these now have Bluetooth 5.1, which is a much newer version. The old ones were Bluetooth 3.0, so I don't know if that's what gives these a longer range. So these have a 1500 meter range, so 1.5 kilometers. Theoretical straight line. The old ones had a claimed range of 1200 meters, so yeah, an extra little bit, 300 meters. I'm a bit skeptical when they say 1.5 Ks, but you know, we'll definitely test it out. Okay, another difference between these and the old ones is the old ones used a 3.5mm connection jack for the speakers and microphone, and also to charge. So your speakers would plug into that 3.5mm jack, and you'd also have a USB cable to charge them. The new ones have a USB-C, works the same way, so you plug your speakers and mic into the USB-C port, and you can use any USB-C charger to charge them. Very handy. So you know, when we're going on camping multi-day rides, we would have to take one of these or 2 of these cables just to charge those up overnight. After a full day's use, they'd need charging. With the new ones, obviously USB-C, we've already got USB-C charging cables for our phones, GoPros, whatever, so another awesome little addition. Apparently the new ones have an upgraded antenna, so that might also help with the range. What I've seen of the units themselves, they look very similar. The new antenna is actually a little bit shorter by the look of it, but yeah, upgraded antenna. They also come with upgraded mounts, so they come with a stick-on self-adhesive mount to stick it to your helmet, as well as the clip-on one that clips up in between the foam and the shell of your helmet. They claim with the upgraded battery you get now 30 hours of working time, so that's obviously 30 hours of talking or listening to music or whatever, so that's incredible. I mean, again, that's probably on and off usage. I would be very happy with 12 hours solid use out of these. And I also apparently have a 500-hour standby time, so that's pretty good. A couple more little specs for you. It takes about 2.5 hours to charge each one. Obviously that's gonna, again, depend on your charger output wattage, but you're looking at about 2.5 hours. And also the new ones here are IP65 waterproof. So I believe the old ones were pretty well waterproof too. I mean, we got them wet quite a lot of times and they never died. So yeah, being waterproof is great. Don't have to worry about it. If it rains, keep on talking. So look, at the end of the day, all those new features sound great, but what I'm really most interested in is, do they improve the user experience when you're actually using the things? I'm hoping that it will make them better, or at least as good as the old ones. Hopefully they're not worse. I don't see how that could happen, but you never know. The main things for us obviously is, as long as that range is decent and stable, battery life is good, and probably most of all, hopefully they're loud enough still. The old ones were fine. You know, they were loud enough to go through earplugs. At 100 kilometers an hour down the road, you can still hear the intercom. So hopefully these new ones are good in that regard too. So yeah, we'll definitely see. Sorry if this is a long video, guys. We're only just getting started. I do have a fair bit to say about comms. We use them very regularly. Pretty much every ride that I ride with the wife, we're always chatting back and forth. We find them to be awesome. I know a lot of people don't like comms, but especially when we're sort of making videos, they do help to coordinate with each other, and sort of, yeah, definitely a big help on rides. When it comes to riding by myself, I don't generally use them for listening to music or anything like that, or making phone calls. You know, I'm happy to stop and make a phone call, and listening to music while you're riding, it's not my thing, but if you want to do that, these will do that as well. All right, we'll open up the box and see what's included and see if we can get these paired up. So we have the two Bluetooth units, of course. Quite nicely packaged. User manual. And two sets of microphones with speakers. So these two should be identical. We get an Allen key, a sticky mount, as well as a clip-on style mount. Got Velcro pads for attaching the speakers inside the helmet. You have the speakers themselves with the USB-C connection, and a nice little inclusion is an extra microphone. So of course we got a boom style mic with the flexible arm on it, or you can just use the self-adhesive microphone. They can just be switched over by disconnecting that plug there. We've got a USB-C charging cable, one for each unit, and you also get a couple of spare screws with each one as well. I'd assume they would be for spare screws for the clips there. So that's your full double intercom kit. I'm just going to have a quick look at the manual and see how we pair them up. Apparently we just hold both power buttons down until it flashes blue and red at the same time, and they should pair with each other. It doesn't say it in the instructions, but I actually just pressed that again, that main A button, to pair these two, and now that they're flashing in sync, they should be paired. So say if I had a third one of these and I wanted to pair that on the B channel, I think we just disconnect, and then it says you hold down the B button until it flashes. Then I'm assuming I'll press this until they flash in sync. Now they should be paired on the B channel, so very easy to pair these guys. Audio is going to be a little bit shit for this section, guys, because I'll have to disconnect the mic from my phone, which I use for audio. But I'm going to try and pair one of these with my phone. So basically I'm just going to the Bluetooth settings on my phone, then I'll hold down the green phone button for 5 seconds until we get a blue and red flashing light. Then we scan for devices on the phone. Found V6, pair. Yep. Connected for calls and audio, so simple as that. Now I can play music through my phone and it'll come through the Bluetooth, and of course you can also make phone calls. I've never done the phone call thing, but if that's something that you want to do, then yeah, cool, no worries. If you want to disconnect from the other rider for a while, you don't want to hear them cursing and swearing if they're getting stuck or whatever, easy enough to just press that same button, will disconnect you. I mean, the units will still stay connected, you just, yeah, the audio transmission won't work anymore. To reconnect, simple as pressing it again. That's the main button that you need to know if you're just using these between the pair of yous. The other main functions you want is the volume up and down here, these smaller buttons in the middle, and your power off button is here, the tiny little button there above the phone. Right, I'm going to go ahead and get these installed in the helmet. I'm not going to bother showing you guys how to do it. Every helmet's different. Obviously you need to get in behind your cheek pads in your helmet. Attach these self-adhesive Velcro pads are, you know, as close as possible to where your ears are going to be in the helmet, so that these are directly line up with your ears, so you've got the best chance of hearing it. Obviously you place the microphone in front of your mouth. The unit itself you want to place on the side of the helmet, obviously in a spot that's easy to reach. I'll be attaching ours with these self-adhesive mounts, they are much better. One thing I like to do when I'm mounting the actual unit itself is to mount it up high enough so that the wiring and the plug and everything isn't hanging down below the bottom edge of the helmet, so that every time you put the helmet on the ground or whatever, that, you know, it can get damaged. So you're better off keeping it up just a little bit so that it's either flush with the bottom of the helmet or above. These clip-on style ones are obviously easier to remove, they just go up under the edge of your helmet there, but we have found that riding off-road, branches and stuff will rip these off with no problem at all. Alright guys, that actually installed quite easily. It's a bit finicky probably the first time you do it, but I've mucked around with GoPro mics and all that sort of stuff plenty of times in the past, so I'm pretty adept at pulling this helmet apart and getting stuff to fit in there nice and easy. Everything went in nice, no problems whatsoever. One thing I will say is if you're thinking about putting comms in your helmet and you haven't done it before, make sure you've got enough room where your ears are to, you know, to have enough space to clear for these speakers to not be touching your ears, because trust me, if these things are touching on your ears all day, even though they got some nice foam padding on, they get really annoying. So my helmet luckily has heaps of space there. They don't touch my ears at all, so very comfortable. You're probably looking at a thickness of about 10 millimeters there, so that's how much clearance you're going to need for your ears. But yeah, this helmet's all good to go. I just need to put the other set in Nat's helmet, and we can get out there and do some testing and see what the range on these is really like. Alright guys, we're out here testing the 6 Riders Teleheer comms. Now immediately straight off the bat we can tell they're not as loud as the old version. They're probably not going to be loud enough to use with earplugs, which is unfortunate because we really like to try and save our hearing while we're in earplugs. But anyway, we're going to do a range test on them. We're at 0 meters now, geo tracker rolling. I'm going to head out that way and see how far Nat can hear me. We are at here. We're at 438 meters.
It's just started to crackle.
Yeah, just crackling a little bit. But we can still talk, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, I'll go to the top of the next hill. Alright, that's 830 meters. How's that?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Still hear me? Alright.
Yeah. Still a bit of crackling, but...
Yeah. I'll see how I go over the next hill. I don't know if we'll have line of sight. We might. That'll be pushing the range a bit anyway. But yeah, even at this range, they're pretty clear. You still hear me? No, I think it's cut out over the hill. We're at 1 kilometre now. You there? Hello? So yeah, there you go. I reckon with no clear line of sight, you get your 1 kilometre out of these, no problem.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, you're back.
Yep. As soon as you went over that hill, that was it, gone.
Yeah. Alright guys, to wrap this up, as I said earlier in the video, the 3 main things that we need from a set of comms is good range, good battery life, and they got to be loud. You know, you've got to be able to hear the other person, or else what's the point of the things? And while we love a lot of the new features of the V6 Plus, you know, the range is great. The audio quality is actually really good. They pair up easy. That battery life should be awesome. It's just that loudness isn't there. I know it's probably a thing of companies trying to protect us from ourselves. They don't want to make comms, speakers and stuff that are too loud that people are going to turn them up and wreck their hearing or whatever. But my advice, my recommendation with these ones is if you have a noisy, windy, noisy helmet, as we do, or you like to wear earplugs while you ride, these probably aren't going to be suitable. And for us, unfortunately, as I said, we got to use those earplugs. Our helmets are pretty noisy. So it looks like we're going to be going back to the old original V6, which are really good. Now, I did get in contact with Hans at Teleheer and asked him about the volume, whether there was some secret little combination of keys you could press on the comms to give them another boost of audio level, but he said unfortunately no. And he did also mention that a few other people have said that they're not loud enough. So it's not just us. As I said, we've installed these in the helmet exactly the same as we installed the old original V6, and they were fine. They were really loud and good. Apparently they are going to address that in the next revision, so I'll be looking forward to testing those out if we get the opportunity to. But in the meantime, yeah, I'm going to order another set of the old faithful V6. I'm going to put links for both of these different models if you're interested in them, guys. But yeah, I've seen the original V6 on eBay just recently for like $106 for a pair, so they're even cheaper than when we first got ours. So anyway, that's my take on them, guys. As I said, you know, I would have loved to said that they were 100% awesome, but yeah, for us, they're just not a good fit. If you happen to have a really nice, quiet road helmet or something, and you don't wear earplugs, then, you know, they might be okay for you, but yeah. Anyway, a couple of other things I wanted to quickly mention about these units, guys, is they are not mesh Bluetooth intercom, so you can only talk to one other person at a time. You can pair, each unit can pair with up to 5 other units, so you've got to press a different button to talk to each different person. So yeah, it's one at a time. I find that's not too bad because mesh, from what I've heard, chews a lot of battery, and the range isn't great when you're on mesh anyway. So from one person to the next, you've only got about 400 or 500 meters tops. With these Bluetooth ones, just one-on-one, you know, you get that 1 kilometer range, which is good. Also, the buttons on these guys, they're not really well thought out, I don't think, because there's so many of them and they're all close together. If you've got gloves on, you're going to have a bit of trouble operating these Bluetooth comms. As most of you guys know, I wear the cut-off finger gloves, so I'm pretty well right, and we've been using them for so long. I know how to work them with my eyes closed, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, if you're new to them and you're wearing gloves, then you're probably going to struggle pressing the right buttons for a while. But other than that, you know, they're a great solution for the money. really, really impressed with them, especially the original ones, which are nice and loud. One other thing quickly is you can pair these with other brands like Tenere and Cardo, I believe. I haven't tried it myself, but they say that you can pair them with other brands if you want to do that. Now, of course, the giveaway, guys, we still have an unopened box of V6 Plus. Now, what I'm going to do is give these away to one of our supporters, okay? So if you're one of our Patreon supporters or one of our PayPal supporters and you're interested in winning this set, guys, shoot me an email. I'll put a post up on the Patreon page if you're keen. All right, that's the end of it, guys. Thanks for sitting through it. If you made it this far into the video, as always, you've done well. Thanks to Teleheer for sending me these units to try out. Sorry that they weren't quite what we were looking for. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.